The NFL salary cap skyrockets ahead of this 2024 offseason. Let's talk about it. So, guys, this video is brought to you by BetUS. And look, I'm always out here on BetUS scouring for different lines that might interest you guys. And there are free agency futures odds, and one of them hits pretty close to home, man. Calvin Ridley right now has next team odds if he doesn't sign with the Jaguars. Some teams are like the Falcons, the Chiefs, or the Jets, or some teams that he's favored to go to. It'll be interesting to see if the Jaguars decide not to retain his duties and decide to keep the second round pick and do move on from him. But there are some others, man. There are NFL draft first overall pick odds out there. And look, if you're somebody that doesn't really believe in Caleb Williams and maybe thinks that the Bears are going to keep Justin Fields and go with maybe a non-quarterback. Look, you guys, right now, Caleb Williams is at minus 900, which isn't good money because that would mean that you'd have to bet $900 to win 100. So honestly, I don't ever go for odds like that. But one thing is that, look, if you think that they stick with Justin Fields and maybe want to get him some help, right now, Marvin Harrison Jr. is at plus 1,000, which means that if you put down $100 and he gets drafted first overall, you would win $1,000. So that's kind of how that works. Now, those are the kind of things that I go for, more like the long shots as opposed to, the big time favorites. But if you guys want to get in on any of this, guys, 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits now with promo code JOIN125. Also, there's 10% gambler's insurance for net losses if you've been active every month for the last 6 months. So there is that. 24/7 customer service, 24-hour payouts. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about this salary cap. Now, guys, there's been an insane jump in the NFL salary cap this offseason. It actually went up by $30 million from last year's salary cap, which I believe last year was like $11 million, but it shot up greatly. The NFL is in good hands. We can all give a shout out to Taylor Swift for that. I know a lot of people hated seeing her on the TV and on all the different social medias, but guess what? Taylor Swift brought in a lot more eyeballs, which brings in a lot more money, which it all filters down, guys. It's going to filter down to some of our favorite players. So maybe one day, Josh Allen is going to thank Taylor Swift in a social media post for allowing him to get a little bit more money. But yeah, this is huge news for every team, but especially teams with big free agents coming on upcoming contracts. The most notables, like we've been mentioning with the Jaguars, are Josh Allen and are Calvin Ridley, but also some potential cap casualty guys. Like maybe the Jaguars decide to keep Cam Robinson, even though he's going to cost $16 million against the cap, or maybe even like Zay Jones, who is a smaller cap casualty, or maybe, they decide to keep like Brandon Sheriff. So it really does give a lot of flexibility to a team with, quite frankly, an idiotic GM with Trent Baalke. I hate that guy, but nevertheless, he's our GM, so we got to love him, right? We got to love him. So right now, the franchise tag numbers, man, and I'm pretty sure it's weird with defensive end and linebacker because, 4-3-3-4 they get classified differently. But, if Josh Allen does get treated as a linebacker, his franchise tag number is now set at $24 million, which is straight up against the cap. And, the way that Trent Baalke's been doing these franchise tags is he's been doing it almost as a procrastination tactic. In 2021, in 2022, he franchise tagged Cam Robinson and then signed him to a new deal in April. In 2023, he franchise tagged Evan Ingram and re-signed him in July. So that's what it's looking like is going to happen with Josh Allen, because it doesn't seem like a lot of movement toward a new contract has been happening. But so that would be the number, if at bare minimum they don't re-sign him and just franchise tag him. Now, the Jaguars right now have $24.7 million available on over the cap. And I was actually confused because I remember when I did my, cutting and, roster trimming segment on Spot Track, we had like $17.2 million available. But they were factoring in that the potential increase that was going to happen, but the increase was much greater than really actually anticipated. So, yeah, so they had that already factored in. So we're gonna see what the Jaguars really do. I mean, moves are already happening around the NFL. Like wide receiver T. Higgins got announced last night that he will be franchise tagged. Now, will he play for the Cincinnati Bengals? I know. I know in 2022, I think it was that Devontae Adams got franchise tagged by the Green Bay Packers, but they went around and turned around and traded him away for a first round pick and a second round pick. That could be happening with T. Higgins because let's be real, teams would be willing to give up assets for a T. Higgins. You know, we also saw that the Miami Dolphins plan to cut cornerback Xavier Howard. So right now it's close to impossible to really predict what's going to happen in free agency because you have your list of available free agents, okay? But, you know, some of those guys will be franchise tags. Some of those guys will be re-signing new deals. Then, honestly, there's going to be a lot more that are going to be thrown out there. You know, Xavier Howard is a very prominent cornerback, and there's probably going to be more players. You know, like the Bills are way over the cap. The Dolphins don't have a lot of money either. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of teams that need to trim the roster, trim the fat a little bit, including the Jaguars. You know, we've gone through about potential cap casualty guys. So we'll see what happens. Should be fun. I imagine the Jaguars will be decently active. Definitely maybe not as active as 2022, but definitely more active than 2023. So we'll just have to see. So thank you guys for watching. Shout out to BetUS. 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. Drop a like on your way out and go Jags.